What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to give you my thoughts and my reaction to the 2023 FPI college football rankings for the upcoming 2023 college football season. And we're going to give you the top 25 teams here for the FPI. These rankings came out yesterday on ESPN. We went through them, and I'm going to give you my reaction and my thoughts on it here in this video today. And if you can tell the sound by my voice, I kind of am under the weather a little bit. I do have some allergy problems, and we're going to try to get through this video really as best as we can. So, yeah, I'm a little bit under the weather, and hopefully I'll be back to 100% tomorrow. So, but again, we're going to look at the FBI top 25 here. I think the top 25 is the most important thing about this FBI ranking. So, again, you know, there are definitely a lot of surprises when it comes to the FBI. I kind of been following them, you know, for the last 3 years now in college football, but this is kind of a first for this channel as well. We didn't do an FBI top 25 last year because we were just getting started on this channel. So, but again, let's get right into it here with my FBI college football top 25, and we're going to give you my honest thoughts on it and give you my honest reaction to it. And there will be definitely disagreements perhaps in this video today as well. So let's get right into it here. We'll start from the bottom and work our way to the top from 21 through 25. We got North Carolina. We'll start with them here at number 25. North Carolina, you know, this is a big surprise for me. I thought I kind of expected them to be in the top 15. But, you know, I think they, you know, with the production they have coming back this year, it's not a lot. But, you know, I thought Drake May, with him coming back, it would help them out just a little bit. And I think the FBI does really look at, you know, some, you know, returning production percentages and see which of the teams have the most production coming back in each of their conferences. But North Carolina's here at number 25. I think they definitely should be a little bit higher than that here at number 25. I think that's way too low for them. Oregon State at number 24. This is a team that, you know, I think has a lot of hype coming into this year, but I think that's a reasonable spot for Oregon State. I mean, this is a team that, you know, kind of really surprised a lot of people last year. Including myself, you know, I had them winning 9 games last year, but I just did not expect them, you know, to pull off some upsets last year a little bit. But, I mean, Oregon State does have DJ Ogilvy coming in, so that really helps them out. But they're ranked number 24 here in the FPI. I think that's a really good spot for them. Number 23 is Baylor. How about Baylor being here in the top 25 in the FPI? I mean, who saw this coming? Baylor, you know, if you look at them in the last year, their season wasn't really good, to be honest, after winning the, you know, Big 12, you know, championship in 2021. But, you know, I think that, you know, that's a good spot for Baylor. I don't really disagree with it, but, you know, I think it's just kind of a little bit weird that Baylor is in the FBI top 25 after really having a downfall season. But Baylor is a team that, you know, is definitely a dark horse contender in the Big 12. I don't think they're going to be up there for the top contender spot, but they're here at number 23 on this FBI top 25. Texas Tech, I think this is a pretty good spot for them at number 22. I don't think they should be a little bit higher than that. I think they're in a pretty good spot right now in the FBI top 25. And I think this team is going to be pretty good this year. They'll be decent enough, but they won't be like a, you know, top 15 team perhaps, maybe a top 10 team or anything like that. But, you know, the FBI does really, you know, have this Texas Tech team as a pretty decent team this year and also a quality team in the Big 12. And I think they're at a pretty good spot. This is the one thing I don't agree with, though. Washington here being at number 21. Why is Washington all the way at number 21? They should be in the top 10 or maybe at least in the top 15, not outside the top 15. Washington's got a lot of production coming back. I don't understand how they're not ranked in the top 15 or maybe in the top 10 or maybe top 5 perhaps. They have a lot of production coming back. This is the one thing I don't agree on with the FBI or a little bit sometimes. I mean, they rank these teams way far back, you know, in the top 25. And Washington is way too far back. I think that's a little bit too low for Washington. I think this is going to be a good Washington team this year, a really dangerous team perhaps as well. Michael Penix coming back at quarterback is really huge for them. Potentially a Heisman contender coming into next year. And he was on my top 10 quarterbacks list as well, so I kind of expect Washington to be right up there in the top 15 perhaps. But I just don't understand why the FBI is ranking them here at number 21. That's from 21 through 25. Let's now go through them 16 through 20. Wisconsin at number 20. This is a team I think that's in a pretty good spot in the top 25. I mean, here in that number 20. I think they a little bit should be lower than that, maybe from 21 through 25. But I think Wisconsin is definitely in a pretty good spot. I'm not too concerned about them heading into next year. Of course, Luke Fickell coming in, I think that really puts them here in the top 25 here in the FPI. But this is the one thing I don't agree with. Texas A&M here at number 19. I don't think they really should be here in the FPI top 25. Same thing with Florida. Who saw this coming? Florida ranked number 18 in the FPI. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work. Florida, it was a really bad team last year. I'm not saying they were bad enough, but, you know, they were not really that talented as we kind of expected them to be. And Texas A&M was a 5-7 team last year, and they were 8-4 the year before. So Texas A&M and Florida are very big question marks. I think Texas A&M is going to be a lot better this year. They should be a top 25 team, maybe a top 15 team as well. But how is Florida ranked number 18? That is the question there. I mean, coming off a really bad season in 2021 and then coming off a little bit of a bad season last year as well. Florida has a lot of question marks heading into next year, and that just really concerns me for Florida. So I don't know why Florida is ranked number 18 ahead of Texas A&M or also Wisconsin. I don't really understand that either. But, yeah, that's just a big question mark there for me, you know, heading into next season. TCU at number 17. This team made it to the college football playoff last year, so they're giving them a little bit of hope. But where is Kansas State here on this top 25? They're not even on this top 25, by the way, when we go down this top 25 list. Where's Kansas State at? They won the Big 12 championship last year. I know TCU made it to the college football playoff. That's good enough, but, you know, where's Kansas State at? They won the Big 12 championship last year against an undefeated TCU team, and that just really shocks me, to be honest, that Kansas State is not on this list, or I should say on this top 25, but I think TCU is in a pretty good place. You know, this team is going to probably drop back a little bit after losing a lot of production from last year. They're ranked number 17 here. Ole Miss at number 16. This team does have a lot of question marks heading into this season, but there are 3 SEC teams here in the top 20. Ole Miss, though, I think has a lot of question marks, but that offense is going to be good enough to where I think they'll be a really good team this year, but I think they're definitely in a good position here. I don't agree, though, with Florida and Texas A&M here in the top 20. I mean, Florida is definitely questionable heading into next year. And then you got Texas A&M, which I think they'll be better, but how good will they be heading into next year? But the question is how Florida good will be heading into next year. I mean, Florida does have a lot of transfers coming in, but, you know, it's just, I mean, do they have the talent? That's the question. Do they have the talent to compete with all these teams that you're seeing here in the FBI top 25? I mean, I don't know how Florida is ranked number 18. I think people will agree with that. Florida should not be ranked here in the top 20 at least. So that's from 16 through 20. Let's now go from 11 through 15. Got Utah here at number 15. I think they're in a pretty good spot. You know, I think they'll probably be a little bit higher, maybe heading into the top 25 next year. But how about Florida State here at number 14? I think this Florida State team should be a lot higher than that number 14 spot. If you look at, you know, the top 25 videos that we've done this year, they were ranked number 4 in the way too early top 25 poll, and this team has a lot of production coming back. I don't know why they're not in the top 10 or maybe at least in the top 5. That really kind of is questionable. But when it comes to the FBI, just like I said, it's really, you know, it's really a lot of disagreements when it comes to the FBI. But Florida State, I think they should be at least ranked in the top 10 and maybe perhaps in the top 5. Oregon comes in here at number 13. I think they are in a pretty good spot. But the question is, though, how is Oregon ahead of Utah and Washington? Utah won the Pac-12 championship last year, and then Washington defeated Oregon last year as well in the regular season. That just makes no sense, to be honest. I mean, you know, Washington should be ahead of both of those teams in the Pac-12. Maybe besides USC, perhaps, but I think they should definitely be ahead of those two teams there in the Pac-12 with Oregon and Utah here, both in the top 15. But yeah, that just makes absolutely no sense. I mean, Washington's got a lot of more production coming back than Oregon and Utah, both in the Pac-12 this year. I know Oregon returns Bo Nix at quarterback, but it makes absolutely no sense. And you got Tennessee here at number 12. I think they're in a pretty good place here after a pretty good season last year. I think this will be a step-back year for them perhaps, but they do have the talent on both sides of the ball there, so there's not really much to talk about Tennessee. Oklahoma here at number 11. Yes, this is a team I'm pretty hyped up for heading into next year, but I just think this is way too high for Oklahoma. I think they should be somewhere from 21 through 25. Right, I think North Carolina should be a little bit higher than Oklahoma as well. Oklahoma's coming off a 6-7 season last year. It wasn't the best season for Oklahoma, but I think they definitely should be a little bit lower. I think this is a little bit too high for this Oklahoma team. I'm not saying they're going to be a bad team. I think they're just, a little bit ranked too higher according to the FPI. I mean, you know how the FPI, though, is with all these teams. They just are so hyped for these teams coming into next year. And Oklahoma is projected, to win like maybe 10 games this year. So that's no really so big surprise. But I just think this is a little bit higher for Oklahoma heading into next year. That's from 11 through 15. Let's now go from 6 through 10. And this is where the FPI rankings kind of get really, disagreeing with. Penn State, I think they're in a good position. I'm not saying they're in a bad spot there at number 10. Notre Dame kind of the same way at number 9. Clemson, though, I don't really agree with being here at number 8. Clemson, I think, should be a little bit lower than that. I think this team is heading into this season a little bit overrated. I'm not saying they're going to be a bad team this year, but I think Clemson is just a little bit overrated. They haven't been good in the last couple years on that offensive side of the ball. I thought they would push them down a little bit. And then you got USC and Michigan, both here at number 6 and number 7. I mean, how is Michigan at number 6 and how is USC at number 7? That just makes absolutely no sense. I mean, USC, we'll talk about them first. Yes, they're coming off, a pretty good season. I think they should be a little bit higher than that, though. I think this team deserves, a lot of credit for what they did last year to get to the Pac-12 championship. And how is Michigan here at number 6? They should be at least in the top 5. I mean, maybe a top 4 perhaps as well, or maybe a top 3. They could be easily number 1 as well. I mean, look at what this team's done in the last couple years. They made it to the college football playoff for the last couple years. They lost the semifinals, but that doesn't really matter. And then, of course, they won the Big Ten championship game for the last couple years as well. And I just don't understand how Michigan is number 6 right here. They should be at least ranked in the top 5 perhaps, or maybe the top 4, maybe top 3 teams for the FPI heading into next year. But it just really is crazy. It's really crazy how the FBI ranks Michigan here at number 6 and then USC here back at number 7. But Clemson, I don't really agree with either. I think they should be a little bit lower than that instead of at number 8. I think Notre Dame and Penn State, though, are fine where they're at. I think this is both of those teams are getting a lot of hype this season, and they definitely deserve to be here in the top 10. So that's from 6 through 10 now. We now go to the top 5, and this is where the disagreement begins. Number 5 is Texas. How is Texas ranked number 5 in the FBI? You look at this team in the last couple years. In 2021, they were 5-7. Last year, they were 8-5. And now the FBI is really hyped up for this team. I know Arch Manning's coming in. Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback, but I think that's way too high for Texas. I think that's really too high. I think Michigan should be taking their spot here. I mean, Texas has not won a Big 12 championship in a while, and it's their last year in the Big 12, but, I mean, Texas should not be right here at number 5. It makes absolutely no sense here to put them here at number 5. LSU, I think they're in a pretty good spot here at number 4. I think this team is a little bit too high, though. I think they should be at least, from 6 through 10, maybe perhaps outside the top 5, perhaps. But I think they're in a pretty good position. I think that, last year when they made the SEC championship, I think they got a lot of credit there. And I think they definitely deserve a lot of credit after making the SEC championship last year. And that's why they are ranked number 4, I believe, in the FBI. Heading into next year's season. But Texas just doesn't really not make any sense whatsoever. And the top 3 does not make any sense either. You got Georgia here at number 3, Alabama at number 2, and you got Ohio State at number 1. How is Georgia ranked number 3 and Alabama's ahead of them? Georgia has won the national championship now for the last couple years, and that just makes absolutely no sense. Yes, they lost the SEC championship in 2021 to Alabama, but Alabama doesn't have a lot of production coming back. They don't have a lot of production coming back as much as LSU, Ohio State, and Georgia does. And Alabama's, they recruited pretty well over Georgia and Ohio State, but you look at Georgia, they have recruited so well in the last few years now, and they're starting to look like the top program in all of college football. But, it just makes absolutely no sense that Ohio State's at number 1. Yes, they were the team last year that really came close to beating Georgia in the college football playoff semifinal, but there is just no reason why Georgia's really put here at number 3. I just don't agree with this top 5. Now, I do agree with LSU being at number 4. I think that's a pretty good spot for them. Maybe they should be a little bit lower, though, perhaps. But Ohio State at number 1, Alabama at number 2, and Georgia at number 3, and Texas at number 5 just makes absolutely no sense for the FPI. I mean, Ohio State, yes, they've been good in the last couple years, but they haven't been to the Big Ten championship in the last couple years. That's been the problem for them. And Alabama, really struggled last year. They, have struggled in the last couple years, perhaps on that offensive line. And, Georgia, though, they've won back-to-back national championships. So there's no reason why I think there's a reason why Georgia should be at number 1. And that's because they've been winning the national championship for the last couple years. And Texas just makes absolutely no sense. I think this team is getting a little bit too hyped up. And I think this team is a little bit overrated in my opinion as well. So I'm not giving disrespect to Texas either, but I just think that's not a good spot for Texas at all in the FPI. So, but that's my reaction to the 2023 FPI college football rankings from yesterday on ESPN. Let me guys know what you think about these FPI rankings. What do you think about them? Do you agree or disagree with me on my thoughts about them as well? Should they, change the top 5 and maybe change the whole top 25 perhaps? But there are some categories that I think I agree with, in this top 25 as well. Well, again, just let me know down in the comments below what do you think about this top 25 as well. And stay tuned here for more sports content on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.